A rift appears to be emerging between Myanmar's military and a long-time ally. The country's most powerful Buddhist monks association has called on the army to end violence against protesters. At the same time, the United Nations is looking for evidence of criminal orders by coup leaders. Young Waikit has been following developments for us. He joins us now. Waikit, these monks are among some of the most senior in the country. Will the army heed their call?
Well, Dawn, that really depends on the Myanmar army. But of course, it is hoped that they will heed the call, because not only are the Myanmar monks asking the Myanmar army not to kill protesters, on Wednesday, Pope Francis also made similar calls. Now, the fact that the country's highest Buddhism body, known as the Mahana in Myanmar, urging Myanmar army to stop killing people, that's a very strong signal on various levels. One, the Buddhist community is highly revered, highly respected among Myanmar people, including the Myanmar army. Now, interestingly, days after the military coup on February 1st, the state paper had splashed photos of the army chief visiting a monastery, bowing before a monk. There are also photos of Myanmar personnel in their uniform cleaning and sweeping up monasteries. And this tells us a few things. One, the Myanmar army has respect for Buddhism. And two, perhaps they want to soften their image by being relatable. Now, one observer brought up one very interesting point, that the Mahana is usually very cautious, usually very conservative. And the fact that they are now making this statement is a strong signal. Don't forget that the Myanmar monks have a history of being part of Myanmar's democracy movement. They have led the 2007 Saffron Revolution themselves.
And Waikit, what of the martial law that was imposed in parts of Yangon? Has it managed to quell the protests at all?
Well, Dawn, the numbers of protesters on the streets these days are significantly fewer, but we don't know whether it's fully attributed to the effects of martial law being imposed in some parts of the country, because I'm also being told that protesters are now taking a different tactic. They're moving in smaller numbers and they're more mobile. But the fact is that gone are the days when people can go out to the streets, clap, sing, cheer, and chant slogans. I mean, there have been previous occasions of how the protest movements were creative. For example, the LGBT community would dress up and parade the streets. People would dress up as superheroes, for instance, to draw attention from the international community to their pro-democracy movement. But these days, the sights and sounds of the protests are starkly different. You're hearing more and more gunshots on the streets. You're hearing more and more people crying in despair, and you're seeing more videos and photos of fire and smoke in parts of the country, barricades being burnt, property being set on fire. Of course, some are saying that the protesters are doing so to slow security forces down from chasing them. Some are also saying that the security forces are the ones intentionally setting fire on these property to pin blame to the protesters.
Waikit, thank you very much for that. Young Waikit there.